Welcome to my healing world. My name is Monica. I live in Vancouver, BC, Canada, and I am collagen babe because I use collagen since 2012 to help me repair, regenerate, fix the injuries that I've had most of my life. And the biggest one that I've had realization of is my addiction to carbohydrates. Let's just call it carbohydrates. I was a kid growing up in the 1960s, and I hurt myself falling off a swing when I was 7. And what I've realized this week in the eclipse season is that I've spent my whole life self-medicating to get me out of pain. And I'm speaking to all the people out there who have had concussions or car accidents or fell off in a cliff. And I've had all of those things where, accidents happen, and then you feel bad, and you will do anything to feel better. So as a kid, 7 years old, big knocker in the back of my head, and when I think about injuries, it's just a displacement of blood. Blood can't get through, so it gets stuck and then it swells. And when you have it in your head, it affects your brain. I fell off a tree last week on September the 4th, and I landed on my back, so that woke up a lot of scary feelings for me, because I hit right on my sacrum, and it was a big enough fall that I actually bruised my whole arm. I think you saw the pictures all week where I've been showing you how my bruise was black and blue from here to here. And I was kind of reimagining that it was in my head, at 7. So I've been kind of unwinding all that information for this week, because that's what happens when you get into an accident. First it's the, oh, why again? And then, in my past I would blame myself for the accident, or I would feel really bad, I did something bad. That's why I hurt so much, is because I'm a bad person. And all those feelings, they came up this week. And I had to deal with it because I am a therapist. I've been studying therapy as a profession since I was 26 years old. And back then I had only 2 concussions, one at age 7 and one at age 18. One was off a swing, the other one was on a bicycle. I was riding down Canby Street, fell off my bike over the handlebars and landed on my tooth and knocked my tooth out. So, you know, I've knocked my tooth out a couple of times, and I can tell you it's very embarrassing to fall down and have something missing. It brings up all these feelings, and I want to kind of elaborate on the feelings of breaking, because that's what came up when I hit my back. I slammed 4 feet onto my back. All the snowboarders or all the skateboarders, they'd understand that feeling of landing on your tailbone and sending that reverberation up through the body into the head, where it's already been injured 14 times. I have 14 head hits. So yeah, I've been processing all week, you know, me. And I hope that in my sharing that it will help other people who are going through the same thing. As a kid, you don't have access to drugs. So my drug of choice was sugar. I have always been a sugar addict. You know, cubes of sugar when I was you know, a kindergartner. I'd come home and had a cup of Nescafe with 3 or 4 sugar cubes in the mix, with a sandwich, a white bread sandwich, and butter and bread. And you know, you eat it and you can feel the crunch and you feel better, because you know, you feel happy that you got all that sweetness in your mouth. It's like a reminder of maybe the sweetness of your mother's milk that soothed you as a child. So when I was 18 and I had another concussion, I used alcohol to get me out of my shell, you know, to help me get over the feeling of whatever angst I had in my body because of my diet or my physical activity or my workload or whatever it was. I used sugar and alcohol as a means to balance my biochemistry. I think everyone does, and that's the reason I'm bringing up this subject on the what is it called? It's called the lunar eclipse. Full moon in Pisces. Now, I'm a Piscean, and I've read all those magazines that, you know, tell you that Pisceans are crybabies and they're too sensitive, and, you know, again, making me feel that feeling of angst inside of me that I was not whole. So 18 to 25, I drank like a fish. I, you know, wanted to outdrink everybody. I would buy a case of beer and I would share it. And I would buy a Mickey of scotch and I would drink it and share it with all my friends. And this is what we did in this 1980s. We partied. I was a partier. I would work all day and dance all night and do it again 7 days a week. Okay, 6 days a week. And that was just I think the rat race trail that I put myself on. And I did it because I didn't want to face my gut feelings. So I met this beautiful man, 26 years old, got into, you know, being a hippie, wanted the hippie life, the freedom of, you know, just being a ski bum, living out in the woods, you know, every day getting together and smoking lots of pot and getting down the hill every single day. Get up, ski all day, go down, make dinner. And dinner was, for me, a vegetarian lifestyle, because at that time I went into it hook, line, and sinker. Because I was a partier. I partied. And then when I got into studying holistic health and vegetarianism, I went all in and, you know, went to meditation camps and yoga and, you know, hung out with people around potlucks where everything was vegetarian, because in Whistler during that time, everyone wanted to be vegetarian. So we all practiced. You can see the kind of like cycle that I was in. You know, I was eating carbohydrates as a kid. I was drinking like a fish as a hairdresser, party girl in Vancouver, and then I ran away to Whistler to get away from the stress of war. That was my excuse. I just don't want to hear this news about war anymore. I want to go and live a life of flowers and peace and all that stuff. All those, again, it's almost like an ego trip. See, when I started this video, I didn't know what I was going to talk about, because I was thinking to myself, I just want to be authentic. And how can I tell people about my authenticity if I don't express where I came from? You know, I am 60 years old now, and I sent myself to massage schools, like 20 years of massage schools. If I wasn't massaging people, I was getting massages, and I was, you know, like going through theory and anatomy, physiology, and for me it was tough, because by that time, when I was really going whole hog into the massage bodywork field, I had already fallen off the Grand Canyon in 1992. And that one, I broke my back. I hit my head. And I had a rash all down this part of my body. Just a big piece of raw me. And is it funny, you know, I just fell and it reactivated all these memories of that, how scared I was back then, you know. Am I gonna make it to 60? That's what I said to myself when I was 32. I said to myself, am I going to make it to 60? I am in so much pain. I am so miserable. You know, how am I going to get there? By then, I divorced my husband. I went on alone because I said, you know, I can't be following people without getting to the root of why I am so sad inside and so unsure of myself and so miserable. You know, and after all these years, you know, 60 and 14 concussions, you know, whiplash, I finally settled this year, knowing that I was getting to the root of the issue. See, at the beginning of this year, I had a bad case of weight gain. I could see myself exploding into weight gain, and I didn't know why. My diet, oh, I know why. Because I had my 14th concussion on September the 13th. 1 year ago, September the 13th, I had, you know, I was walking around my garden, I hit a hole, and the hole whacked me on the head, and I was out again. And so I knew that That was God telling me that I needed to rest and still, and don't keep on piling stuff on to accomplish something because you want to be a millionaire or you want to save the planet or whatever feelings you have for making yourself do and do and do. So, and what anchored it was that I kept on twisting my ankle 5 times. So I said, okay, that settles it. You're just gonna take it easy. However long it takes, just stop what you're doing and just let yourself be yourself. You know, you're studying this human design. You want to find your authentic self. That's and you don't want to be that not self that you know that you're learning that you don't want to be. So I stopped. And then I said to myself, fuck, I'm getting fat. Because I couldn't exercise. And I was still eating my carboholic diet. Because I have been brainwashed to eat carbs and vegetables and not meat. You know, all my life, you know, this big portion of my meal was just carbohydrates. So I found the carnivore diet, and I didn't really want to believe it because I said, you know, eating meat's going to make you feel so unhealthy. Why? Yeah, that's what the medical model wants you to believe, is that eating meat's going to make you feel cancerous. You know, you're going to degenerate. You know, sure sign that you're going to be on the wrong path if you eat this meat. Yet, from all the videos I was watching online, I saw that people were looking exactly how I wanted to look. Just like I did when I was 20, wanting to be a vegetarian. I wanted to be a beautiful vegetarian. Well, now I wanted to be a beautiful carnivore. You know, I'll test it out 10 days. If it doesn't work, well, I've learned something. I learned that I didn't like it. Yet, by January 2024, after I cleaned out my house of all the organic carbohydrate foods that I had bought from specialty stores, I was on my 10-day of just meat. And on this eclipse, lunar eclipse, full moon in Pisces, what I am proposing to do is just cut all the things that don't work in my life and then move on cleanly with what I find has given me hope. You know, hope is a molecule. And if you can feel hope in your body, you can enjoy your life. 9 months later, on the eve of the lunar eclipse, I had an epiphany. I felt happy. I don't think I've ever felt happy in my whole life, because inside of me, I always had this fermentation tank inside of me making alcohol. You know, rotting in my gut. I always had. Here's my gut now. This is after 9 months. This is as good as it gets, right? 9 months of eating just meat, and I finally have I don't feel like I have back fat. I don't feel like I have underarm fat. I don't feel like I'm pulling my weight. I'm down to 123 pounds. And still no exercise, because The other day I fell out of a tree and I smashed my back, and tomorrow I see an osteopath, and after my osteopath gives me a clear bill, I will go back to moving, because I feel inspired to move because there's so much joy in my body. I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy to the point that it brings tears to my eyes. Not tears of misery, but tears of happiness. Because I just spent 9 months proving to myself that I can make myself happy. You know, it's not the money. I've gone through so much money doing therapy for myself. You know, if it's not hands-on body work, it's going to see therapists and body talk therapists and osteopaths and chiropractors, and, you know, 14 concussions and a broken back. You have a kind of like a chain of action that you do after every injury. And now I have carnivore to thank for giving me the cherry on the top. I am so fortunate that I got to study human design. It taught me that I have naive intelligence. I might have bashed out the really good stuff, but I bashed it out when I was 7. There's nothing that Humpty Dumpty can do to get this brain to where it was. Yet, with the accidents came always a new lesson, a new learning, a new teacher. And I followed through because I was scared. Scared and unhappy. And I knew I didn't want to be scared and unhappy, and I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't want to be a drug user. And I didn't want to be fat. So, on this eve of the supermoon on Tuesday, September the 17th, 2024, I record my authentic self to you, and I hope that I entertained you enough to think about eating meat as a test for your happiness. Have a great day wherever you are, and I love you all so much, and thank you for following along. For me, it's never been easy to share my love. It's such an unusual love that I share. You know, a love that I've practiced for 50 years on myself, and now I finally have the strength to be able to share it with you, because I don't feel broken. I don't feel less than. I don't feel weak. I feel happy, and I care, and I love. Om Bhurva Sava Tat Savato Varinyam Vargo Devasya Dimahi Diyo Yona Prachodaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Any prayer said during an eclipse is 1,000 times stronger than any prayer on any other day. I hope you say many prayers tomorrow.